Let me welcome you, my dear students. This is our second learning session of Classical and Renaissance Drama with BS English 4th semester. My dear students, if you remember what we did last time, we tried to learn about the introduction to classical drama. We tried to learn about the introduction to the Greek, and we tried to learn about the Sophocles and different writers. So my dear students, let's discuss the outline that today we are going to discuss about the the Aeschylus. So in this session, this is our outline, and let me tell you about that. In this session we are going to discuss the introduction to Aeschylus and the summary of Prometheus Bound, the work of Aeschylus and its characters, symbols, themes, and the Prometheus as a tragic hero. Now we are going to discuss about the Aeschylus introduction or the biography. So my dear students, let me tell you about the Aeschylus that he was born in 524 or 525 before Christ in Elysius near the Athens to a wealthy family. So he is often recognized as the father of tragedy, and he is the first of the three early Greek tragedians whose plays survive extant. He fought against the Persian at the Battle of Marathon in 490 before Christ and at Salamis and in 10 years later. So he was reputed to be the first playwright in the he was the very first playwright who introduces a second actor. So he won his first victory at the Dionysia in 484 before Christ when he was about the 40 years old, and often wrote tragedies, trilogies and plays intended to be performed as a connected chapters at the single Dionysia. Let me discuss about the Aeschylus that the Orestia is generally considered Aeschylus' greatest and finally entry in the Dionysia. Dionysus, who was the father of theatre, or the god of theatre and plays and wine, and the play, the only surviving ancient Greek, the trilogy, were organized paired with a satire piece. The piece name was the Prometheus, and it was made much use of imagery. His tragedy deals fates and the justice of the gods, and his plays reflect the contemporary belief that the gods, jealous and resentful of human greatness, typically inflict the great persons with a character flaw that brings their ruins. Now I am going to discuss about the characteristics of Aeschylus. That in his writing we can simply say that the characters have limited number of traits but clear and direct. He emphasizes the forces beyond human control, and it is the evolution of justice and impersonal. His work was the evolution of justice, impersonal power of state, eventually replacing personal revenge, and it is full of the chain of private guilt and the punishment, all reconciled at end. So it was about the biography of the Aeschylus. Now we are going to discuss about the Prometheus. So let me tell you about the Prometheus Bound. Prometheus is called the god of the god of humans. It is the play take place after Prometheus has been tied to the rock as punishment for stealing fire from the gods and giving it to the human beings. So the title basically summarizes the play initial situation. So my dear students, let me tell you about the Prometheus. As I told you in the very first, that Prometheus is called the god of humans, and it is based on the myth of Prometheus, According to the Greek mythology, means Prometheus is a god of human because he has created the human beings. Means Zeus is called the king of gods and he does want the enlightenment of the human race. So Prometheus has provided the fire to the human beings against the will of the Zeus, and Zeus has punished Prometheus, means he chained him, and simple is that an eagle was with him, so it will eat the immortal liver of the Prometheus, and Prometheus bear the torment. Let me tell you here the about the fire. Means fire symbolizes the reasoning, means awakening and knowledge. He made human and gave them the knowledge of the art and science, so their life standard should be upgraded or the upstandard. So it was about the simple is that the significance of the title. Now we are going to discuss about the Prometheus Bound. So my dear students, Prometheus Bound is an ancient Greek tragedy by the Aeschylus that was first published in 430 before Christ. The play is composed of dialogues between the different characters, including to the ocean, nature, and with the chorus. Means it is divided into 3 acts. The dialogues contains a sustained simple is that the stichometia between the Prometheus and the Achenes, and also a unique series of the quatrains sung by the chorus. Means it anything means simple is that if anything lightens the mood, it is not the humor but rather Prometheus intense, some would say insane. So simple is that it is the spirit of the defiance against the Zeus. So let's discuss about the the summary or the about the the Aeschylus work, the Prometheus Bound. It is divided into 3 acts, and the first act explains about the all tied up, means Prometheus gets chained to a barren rock in a Scythia for the very first minor crime of the stealing fire from the gods and giving it to the human beings. Act 2 explains the look into my crystal ball, means it talks about the various characters shows up and try to convince Prometheus to submit to the authority of the Zeus, and Prometheus refuses because he knows that Zeus will father a child more powerful than he is and who will kick him off his throne. And the child, means what about the child, the descendant of Io. So Prometheus is not feeling much like submitting. So thank you very much, he is telling about. And the act 3 explains about the Hermes, means Hermes comes and tries to convince the Prometheus to reveal some the details about the Zeus destiny. Prometheus refuses. A huge storm, means the presumable sent by the Zeus starts brewing. So this was about the the Prometheus Bound, means which is divided into 3 acts. Now we are going to discuss about the summary. The summary explains that Kratos and Bia, 2 servants of the Zeus, carry in a Prometheus and hold him against a rock mountain in the Caucasus. Means simple is that, means Caucasus, and the Hephaestus, whose job is to chain Prometheus to the rock, follows them. In if we talk about the Kratos and means the Prometheus means states that this is the punishment for giving fire to the human being, and Prometheus must learn to like Zeus' rule. So Hephaestus expresses his pity for Prometheus and lamenting the fact that he must bind his friend to the rock. Means Kratos he urges him on, insisting the pity for Zeus' enemies is both means useless and dangerous. So Hephaestus finishes his task and leaves with the Kratos and Bia. Then let me tell you about that Prometheus calls on nature to witness the suffrage or the suffering of a god at the hand of the gods, and specifically the new rule of Zeus. So he mentions that he has the gift of prophecy and knows all that will happen. So he must live with his suffering because no one can fight fate. So Prometheus hears the sound of the wings and discovers that it is the chorus of the means the Acindes and daughter of the Aquinas on winged chariots. So the Acindes expresses their sympathy for the Prometheus suffrage and explains that the new rule of the Olympus follows only his own law. So Prometheus prophesies that one day Zeus will be in danger and will be forced by the befriend him and avoid it. So Prometheus means he the question is that when it is asked what crime he has committed to discover means deserve this punishment. So Prometheus recounts the war between the Zeus and the Titans, and he had tried to help the Titans, but they refused his guile and decided to use force. So Prometheus then offered his guile to the Zeus and helping him win. Now Zeus punishes him because, like all tyrants, and distrusts his friend. So Zeus has planned to destroy humanity, but Prometheus stood in his way. So questioned further that Prometheus recounts that he gave humanity the blind hope and also the gift of fire. So the chorus responds to this last admission, says that he has sinned, but Prometheus replies that he did so willingly and will not now renounce his action. He asks the chorus to come down to the earth so he can tell them the whole story. If we talk about the Aquinas, means Aquinas flies is a winged beast and says the Prometheus should stop provoking Zeus while he himself goes to the god, means god, to have Prometheus freed. And Prometheus respond that talking to the Zeus would be useless and Aquinas should not place himself in the danger by getting involved. So Aquinas argue that words are needed for healing, but Prometheus counters that the medicine must be applied at the proper time. So he convinced by the Prometheus category's refusal of the help, Aquinas departs. Then the chorus sings that the entire old world mourns for Prometheus and his brother, who also suffers at the hand of the Zeus, especially Atlas, who must hold the world. And Prometheus summarizes everything he has done for the humanity. He taught human beings agriculture, language, mathematics, and harness of animal and sailing. He also taught medicine, divines, and mining. He insists that all human arts come from him. So Prometheus almost reveals his prophecy to the chorus but stops himself, saying only that it will free him because Zeus is a slave to necessity like all others. So the daughters of the Aquinas affirms as the pity to Zeus and chide Prometheus for helping mortal who cannot help him back, and remember his happy wedding to their sisters. So Io enters, wears cow horn and screaming that a gadfly is biting her, and the ghost of Argus pursues her, and she calls on Zeus and asks why he torture her like this. So in response to her questions, Prometheus reveals who who he is and why he is being punished. So Io asks him to tell her about her future wandering, but first the chorus asks to know of the past suffering. So Io tells how these became infatuated with her and forced her father to drive her out of this house. So Io was turned into a cow and the guarded by the Argos, but he was killed and means returned as a ghost along with a gadfly and drove her around the world. So Prometheus tells her of her future wandering through Europe, Asia, and Africa, where she must constantly avoid dangerous people and monsters. So Prometheus reveals that Zeus, who makes the suffering for the Io, and will one day choose a mate whose son will dispose his father. Only Prometheus can help Zeus prevent this. He reveals also one day Io's descendants will free him. He then concludes the story of Io's journey and telling how at the end of the suffering Zeus will cure and impregnate her with a gentle touch for his hand. So Prometheus talks about the Io descendants and who will become king of the city of Argos, and Io run off against torture by the gadfly, and the Candice the daughters of the Archinus chant about the dangers of marrying above one's own rank, expressing the hope that Zeus never takes an interest in them. So, angered by the Io suffering, Prometheus shouts out the Zeus' own son will to pull him. Zeus' messenger Hermes enters and orders Prometheus to reveal the identity of the son's mother. So Prometheus mocks Hermes and says that he will tell nothing. So Hermes accuses Prometheus of being over obstinate and disobedient and mad. So Prometheus deflects each accusation with direct insult and or sarcasm. So Hermes warns that if Prometheus does not yield, a storm will send him to Tartarus, and then he will emerge only to have an eagle eat his liver every day, and thus will not end until the god agrees to die for him. So Chorus advised Prometheus to yield, but he shows no fear of his destiny. So Hermes ordered the Archinus daughters away, but they reply that to betray a friend is the worst crime of all, and woe to stand with Prometheus as the earth begins to shake and thunder gathers around him. Prometheus calls on the element to the witness of his suffrage. So this was about the summary. Now we are going to discuss about the characters. The Prometheus who is the protagonist of the story. Then Zeus is the father of the he is the king of the gods, and Hermes is the son of the Zeus, and Io is the beautiful lady who was suffered by the Zeus, and Achinus the daughters of the Achinus. Achinus is the god of the ocean, and Hephaestus, who was basically the we can simply say that Hephaestus is the one from Prometheus steal the light for the human beings. Then Cretus and Bia, these both are the servants of the Zeus. So it was about the characters. So the next topic is the symbols. Chain symbolizes the confinement, the mental bound hard to undo. Then the fire passion of mankind and his newly gained abilities, and rebellion's knowledge. So it was about the symbols. Now we are going to discuss about the themes. When the themes are the suffering, hubris and fate, means it is about the mental versus the physical suffering of the Prometheus and Dio, and battle for the power, and that was due to the Prometheus, hubris, Zeus and tyranny. Means it also explains about the fate versus the character involvement. If you talk about the suffering, means this was a sin for which I pay the punishment, nailed hard and fast in chain beneath the open sky by the means Prometheus. Then the hubris, we can say, means hubris is found in the Zeus, means Zeus matters to me less than nothing. Than fate, means it was the fate of the Prometheus, means he fears Zeus, no care for moral conformity. And the next one is the freedoms and justice, means confinement versus the mental freedom, means Prometheus punished yet freedom of mind and protection of the justice and moral standing. Now we are going to discuss about the characteristics of the tragic hero. Means a tragic hero is a man or woman of noble stature, and the tragic hero is good but not so good or the perfect. Then we can simply say that as a result the tragic hero's downfall is his own fault. Means yet to hero punishment is not so entirely deserved. The hero fall is not pure loss, and the tragedy arouse pity and fear, but ultimately these emotions are purged. So let's discuss these things in the Prometheus. Means Prometheus' noble birth is seen as he was a Titan that joined the Olympians and lived in Mount Olympus. So he was perfect, but he was good but not so perfect. So a Prometheus stood in this way of destroying human beings by gifted fire to the human beings. The next one is the character flaw. Means Prometheus' goodness destroy him, whereby giving fire to the human being by trying to help them, but he ended up getting punishment by the Zeus. So if you talk about the insight from fall, means as Prometheus see his fate, he sees that by helping humanity he will be punished by the Zeus and will endure eternal suffrage. And what about the means punishment exceed crime, means it was the punishment that exceed to the crime. Means every day until a god agrees to the die for him, Prometheus will emerge from Tartarus and will have an eagle eat his liver as he is chained to a rock to pay for the betrayal toward Zeus. So my dear students, this is our lecture, means this is all about our lecture. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.